What's up, y'all? It is Friday, Ep.4 Friday live with your host Rodney Hunter, and we're going up tonight, y'all. Ep.4. It's been a pleasure having you all join in, tapping in, hearing these testimonies, these true testimonies from some of our favorite current and former pro athletes. It's been a journey for those guys, and I'm very excited to continue to share these testimonies and stories with y'all. They're very inspiring and motivational. With that being said, it's Factor Friday here. We're digging to find out and hear that defining moment in these guys' lives. Throughout these guys' lives to see what brought them the success that they've reached and maintained. We've all had a common goal of becoming professional athletes, and these guys have attained and reached that goal there. So I just really want to, sit back and listen to their story and become inspired by it because I had that dream as well. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the floor over to our guest and allow him to introduce himself. So with that being said, the floor is yours.
I appreciate you having me on, man. It's an honor. And, shout out to everybody who's tuned in right now. Appreciate your time. I know it's Friday night. There's a million other things you could be doing, right? So thank you for just joining us. And just as far as me, my name is Rennie Curran. I was born right here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am currently a former professional athlete, full-time keynote speaker, author, and a leadership and business coach. And my coaching business is called Game Changer Coaching. So everything I do is centered around taking the principles and the skills and the experiences that I learned on the field and applying it to the business world and to life. So cover things like leadership, performance as far as your mindset, also personal branding. I went from athlete to entrepreneur. So I help individuals, teams, organizations in those areas, all centered around personal development. I also have a nonprofit called the Game Changers Foundation, and working on a lot of other things as well. Got a sports tech startup that I'm working on that is basically going to be a LinkedIn for athletes called Former. So be on the lookout for that. I haven't told too many people yet, but I figured, why not start to share about it a little bit here and there. It's going to be something big. So you guys heard it here first. And, I'm excited for the future, man. I played linebacker at the University of Georgia from 07 to 09 with guys like Matthew Stafford, Noshawn Marino, AJ Green, Justin Houston, Joe Atkins, a lot of great players, and then went on to play with the Tennessee Titans in 2010, and then Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then in the CFL with the Edmonton Eskimos and the BC Lions. And so, yeah, that's me in a nutshell, man. Just hard working. My most important job is being a father. I have a beautiful daughter. She's 12 years old. And so wake up every single day trying to provide for her and just trying to be a better man.
Let me ask you. You mentioned your daughter right there, man. So I don't fumble her name later on. Let me ask you, can you pronounce her name for us?
Yeah, so her name is Ileana Kutu Curran. That's her full name. So
Ileana. Great, yeah, great.
Yeah, E-L-E.
Ileana. So we got some people here tapping in right now. Appreciate y'all for joining in. Y'all just heard his intro. Rennie Curran here joining us live on Ep.4 Friday live. This fourth episode. Just shed a little background there about him. You heard that we are one of the first people to hear some of the things that he has coming forward, which I am honored to hear that. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely following your journey and your path. And so just keep striving and keep working, because I know everything you touch, man, is going to flourish and manifest into something great. So I'm here all for it. So let's dive right in, man. Let us know about your first love. Was football and sports your first love? I did see that you played the piano. But so tell me what was your first love, man, growing up?
Man, so yeah, my first love was music, actually, man. That drew me in, man. It was like music. Then growing up, watching a lot of superhero movies and things like that. So I grew up watching Indiana Jones, all those different types of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Always a big adventure. Loved Batman, loved Superman, but music, man, music was my thing. That was really my first hobby. My mom got me playing the piano at the age of 8, and then I started playing the drums in church. Pastor's son taught me. And then after that, by the time I was in middle school, I was actually one of the few athletes that was in the orchestra. So I grew up playing viola in the orchestra. I played that all the way through middle school, high school, all the way until basically like my junior year, until like things really got crazy with football. And, it became a hard balance, right? So I ended up going from orchestra to producing. So I started making beats. Grew up watching Pharrell. And that was idol, man. So, got on that, man, got hooked on just producing and making beats, man. But football ultimately was that thing that was like, for most of us, it's an escape, right?
For sure.
So that's why I made a lot of my lifelong relationships, met my little league coach. And, it was something that changed my life, man, because I was the youngest of three, the only boy.
Okay.
I was rough as hell. And so football was that thing, man, where when I stepped on the field, man, I just felt free. I feel like I could express myself. So, yeah.
For sure, man. Hey, you just mentioned something that we have in common, and most people may not notice about me, but I also played the viola.
Wow.
Um,
I know.
yes, I did, man. A lot of people
What
would
chair? What chair were you?
What chair? Man, that was back in middle school, so I can't get that far back to it, but I definitely did. I was in the orchestra in middle school, went to Palmetto Middle School down in South Miami, Florida, and I was in the orchestra and played that instrument as well. So
Okay.
when I mention that and people ask, "Oh, what instrument you play?" I say the viola, and they be like, "What? What's the viola?" I'm like,
Right,
there is
right,
a viola. There's a violin and a viola. So yeah, man, it's great to share that in common with you.
yeah.
Um, but I didn't love music, but you grew up around it, man. Let me ask you, so you can play the piano, you can play the viola, but can you also sing, or you just stick to the instrument?
I can sing too, man.
You be singing too?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
okay.
love the note, man. Now, because I play so many different instruments too,
Hmm.
I got like perfect pitch, so I can listen to something on the radio or whatever and play it within 5 minutes.
Oh man,
So
that's crazy, man.
appreciate it.
You're gonna have to tap in, man. Probably go live sometime, man, and go live and play some music for us. Let us get a little taste of what you can work with there.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing that like a million times, but it's like you think about it and actually doing it is a whole other thing. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, definitely.
man, I love just like playing. A new R&B song might come out or something like that, and then I'll just turn that thing on and then learn the chords. I can just hear it in my head and just play it like within a couple minutes. So it's something I enjoy doing. It's like therapy for me, man. So yeah,
Right.
definitely have
Yeah,
to do.
I enjoyed it as well, man. But so then you say you transitioned into football. Let me ask you, what was football like for you as a young kid growing up? Was it big in your community? Was your community very supportive? You say you are the only male, the
Yeah,
only male, yes, within your siblings. So how was that?
yeah, man. It was interesting, man, because like my parents were both Liberian immigrants. They came here in the
Okay.
'80s. Both came as students, and most of the kids you talk to or people you talk to whose parents were immigrants or especially African parents, like they're all about
Hmm.
education. That's a lot of times their ticket to this country and whatnot. So my parents were the same way. My mom came to Emory in Atlanta, and my dad came after. He didn't have his immigration papers right away, so his skill was shoe repair. And so saying that to say, man, they didn't know anything about football whatsoever. They knew
I was
about,
gonna ask you that.
yeah, they football is soccer in their world
Hmm.
and everything. So that's really all they knew. That was actually my first sport was soccer. But
Okay.
when it came to football, man, they always, my mom always tried to expose me to different things, music and whatnot and other things. But when I joined football, I really had to beg, man. I begged them like constantly to get out there and to just get on the field. And I had always played, backyard football, man, in the
Hmm.
apartments with older kids. I was a Boys and Girls Club kid too, so I played there. But when it came to like organized football, it was like right after to the suburbs, which is like uh, 20, 30 minutes from Atlanta in Gwinnett.
Okay.
And that's when I remember like it was yesterday, like I got the registration form to sign up for football. And, it got to like the second to last day or something like that. And then I was like, man, I gotta play. So I begged my dad, he took me out. And then that's where I met my little league coach, Ronnie Benton. And this super country, die-hard Georgia fan.
Hmm.
And for those of y'all watching, man, if you haven't been to an SEC game, if you haven't been to a Georgia game, it's like religious. Like it's where I grew up in Selville, it's only like 45 minutes away. So it's like literally Georgia territory. And we had like a lot of like, well-known, David Pollock, for example, who's on ESPN now.
Oh,
One of the commentators, he's from Snellville. We had so many other guys like that were just like legends that came out of there. Our football program was a powerhouse program at that time. It was Brookwood and Parkview,
at
which was like
Brookwood.
the
Okay.
biggest, yeah, one of the biggest rivalries in Georgia. And so we just so happened to move there. It wasn't like my parents knew like they was moving to a school that had like a powerhouse football program or it was like a top school in Georgia.
Yep.
They wanted me to be in a good environment. And so when I got out there, man, it's like I fell in love with that whole culture. And the Little League team I was a part of, man, like we still connected to this day. That's how tight we were, man. From when I joined them at like 9, 10 years old till we got to like high school, basically, or we got to 8th grade, we only lost 6 games.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's how like intense it was, man. Like it was life changing, man. Like the lessons I learned there really set me up for success.
Yeah, I see down here in the comments someone say Brookwood was a powerhouse.
Yeah,
So you moved out there to the suburbs to Snellville, man, and ended up going to Brookwood, and you fit right in. Sound what it sounds like.
yeah. I mean, it was definitely an adjustment. I didn't know what the hell I was doing at first. Like, not gonna lie, my first year playing, I actually played offensive line. Like I played.
Yeah, I think everybody does that.
Yeah, like I didn't know what I was doing out there, man. And I knew I had the skill, I knew I had the speed and ability, but like it didn't click yet in terms of the football smarts. Not until that second year when I came back. That's when I had my biggest growth, and I actually went from offensive line, defensive line to running back.
Okay.
And yeah, played running back and linebacker, a little bit linebacker. So I was the one scoring a touchdown, returning punts, returning kickoffs, and loved it, man. That was my whole world. And fast forward to high school, and I'll talk more about that. But
For
yeah,
sure. So
yeah, that was kind of the beginning of it, man.
so since that was the beginning of it, and you went through those different positions and things of that nature, man, did you have goals at that early age of becoming a pro athlete? You know what I'm saying? You say that you were just getting into it, but were you watching a lot of football? Did you know that, hey, guys are professional athletes and this could possibly be my future as well?
Yeah, man. I mean, even at that age, I can think of it. It's crazy, man, when you look at how God will sprinkle different just visions
Hmm.
inside of you, and he'll bring like the right people into your life and all those different things, man. So like even back as far as 10 years old, like my teacher in 5th grade, she and I'm still connected to her too. Like I'm a product of the community, man. So
For
like a
sure.
lot of teachers and everybody, I'm still connected to them. So my teacher literally, she used to make us write like a diary or whatnot, and like a little journal. And in that journal, even as far back as 19 years old, I had like a journal entry where I talked about being a football star and playing at
Okay.
University of Georgia. And I even took like a string of my jersey and I taped it to that sheet of paper. And she refused to give it back to me.
Oh
But
yeah, you ain't gonna get that back.
yeah, I ain't getting that back. But cause they'll make us write it and turn it in and whatnot. So
Hmm.
that's hers, I guess. I can't sue her or nothing. So, but yeah, man. She had me come and speak to one of her schools. She's assistant principal now, but she had that thing and like literally it said, this is what I want to do. And I remember my little league coach. One of the most powerful things he did for me, man, was he took me to my first Georgia game, and that alone like changed my whole life. Just seeing that crowd full of 90,000 fans, and just the traditions, learning about the cheer at the kickoff, like everything. And being 10 years old, sitting there, and at that moment, that's when I made up my mind. Like, this is where I'm gonna go. This is what I'm gonna do. And so it was the vision was clear, man. It was always clear, regardless of like what was going on in my life. Circumstances were tough, but I always had that vision in my head, and I always just believed that it could happen.
Right. From that young age, man, you believe it happened, man. You manifested your dreams. You manifested what you wrote down, you know what I'm saying, on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
And which probably played a huge role into you, really pursuing it and living that out, man. So that's great. So for all of y'all who have dreams that y'all pursuing, y'all heard what he said, man. Write it down. Write it
right.
down and look at it every day. And believe that it'll come true. Believe that it will come true. Have faith because as long as you work toward it, work hard, it will happen. It will happen for you.
Yeah,
Really quick for everybody that's tapping in right now. I greatly appreciate y'all for joining in. Please hit that paper airplane down at the bottom and share this out to all your friends and family, all your sports fans, all your Georgia Bulldog fans, all your SEC fans, anyone who's interested in enjoying a great testimony from our guest tonight, Rennie Curran here. Okay. With that being said, please don't hesitate to drop your comments down in the comment section. You can hit that question box, the question mark down at the bottom as well, and drop your comments in there, your questions in there. We will get to your questions shortly, so just sit tight, y'all. We have a great testimony unfolding before us, being told before us. So let's transition a little bit into going into high school. So you had a successful middle school career. You know what I'm saying? You guys only lost 6 games. How were you
Mm.
able to transition that into? How did you take that momentum into playing high school football?
Yeah, man. Like I said, we had such a strong foundation, and so once you experience that success, almost develop that expectation that
Mhm.
it's going to continue. You're going to continue to be that starter. You're going to continue to have that success, and it wasn't the case. You know,
You said
as
it wasn't the case.
Nah, it wasn't the case, man. So I actually got to high school and met my coach my freshman year. I couldn't stand his ass. Like I for the first time, like I faced like that first obstacle, and it was
Okay.
somebody in my life that didn't see that potential like my coach, like my little league coach did.
Right.
Somebody who was like on the negative side, somebody who pointed out my flaws, who made me feel like I was stupid. And so that just in that 1 year, I lost a lot of my confidence, like in terms of the things I was able to do, especially on the offensive side. Like he moved me to like third string running back, only played linebacker, and I
Right.
was at the point where I was about to quit. And that's when I went to my little league coach. It just so happened that his house was right behind my high school,
Oh
so I
wow.
I could walk through a trail and get to his house, and so I would go there all the time. His wife she was like a mother to me too, man. Like my family was really, really struggling during that time from like 7th grade to basically all the way through. We was living paycheck to paycheck. Like, I was getting a ride I was the kid on scholarship, free reduced lunch meals, like all that stuff, man. And we were in the suburbs. So it's different
Right.
when when you poor and you in a tough neighborhood, it's one thing. But when you like around a bunch of rich kids and you poor, that's a whole different like experience. And,
For
and
sure.
so yeah, man, it's like his wife would help me out. She worked at the school. She worked in the media center. So, she held me accountable and whatnot. She would take me and buy me clothes. Like, it's kind of like the blind side.
Okay.
Um, but I went over his house, man, like maybe 3 weeks into that freshman season. I was like, man, coach, I'm just going to quit. Like, I can't stand this dude. I'm just ready to hang it up. And he told me something that I'll never forget. He said, Rennie Curran, I want you to focus on what you can control. Don't worry about what he says. Don't worry about what's going on around you. What they got you on the depth chart, just focus on what you can control. And I took that, man, and I ran with it. And I tell everybody, man, when I tell my stories, like I turned into Water Boy, like Adam Sandler. Like no lie.
No,
Like
I can imagine that, man.
yeah, like I just made up my mind, man, that I'm gonna hit every single thing moving. And
For
like that was
sure.
the standard. That I'm gonna either make the play or I'm gonna be around the ball. Like it was just no other option. And so it was a mixture of that, that having that chip on my shoulder, and it's the struggle of what my family was going through during that time that really like, made me go into that mode of desperation and just being relentless. And so, man, freshman year, like I developed that basically brand or that identity
Hmm.
where it's like everybody knew. Everybody started asking questions because nobody knew who I was, but everybody just started asking, who's this kid?
Yeah.
But it was just a mentality, man, where I was just hitting, like I said, and this
Hmm.
is at Brookwood. This ain't like 1A. This ain't, you
Right.
know, this is like a powerhouse. And so at the end of the season, what happened as a result of my efforts and just that mentality, man, I ended up getting moved up from freshman to varsity,
Right.
which had never happened. Like it
Oh
was like
wow.
the I'm in that, yeah, in that school history because it being a powerhouse school, like you really had to pay your dues. But that year they brought up like me and 3 other guys.
Okay.
And once I got brought up as linebacker, like that just became it. Like it was like running back was an afterthought. Even though I knew I could still do it, but that was kind of it. Once I was known for playing linebacker, man. And so from there, it still wasn't easy. Got moved up and was behind the guy who was a starter on the team. And so my sophomore year, that became like a recurring theme in my entire career.
What
Was
was
like
that?
this was like 2003, and so I was behind the guy who was a starter, team captain, led the team in tackles and whatnot. And so I'm just going by faith, man, just working hard, waiting on my opportunity to come. Don't know when it's gonna come, man. I'm getting there at 6 o'clock in the morning, watching my film, getting in the weight room. I'm putting on an extra 20 pounds on the bar, just doing whatever I can, man. He's on the field, or the defense starting defense is on the field. I'm 20 yards behind him, you know, basically his shadow.
Right.
So you hear coaches talk about getting mental reps. I got like real reps. I was just 20 yards behind those reps, to the point where like they're like, man, get off the field. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
I'm looking crazy. And what happened, man, was week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5 pass, 6 pass, and then he hurt his wrist, and I got in that thing and I was ready. And you know, I ended up leading the team in tackles that year.
Mm-hmm.
End up I think that first game, my first start, I had like a pick 6 for 98 yards against one of our rival schools, and the rest was history, man. Became a starter, and I made myself undeniable, and that was like the first hurdle that I had to overcome. And then from there, it became the recruiting process, hearing about being too short, and all those things. But that was really what started it.
For sure. Hey, y'all, he just mentioned that, you know, somebody played in front of him that led the team in tackles. But I'm going to drop this fact on y'all. He left Brookwood as the leading tackler in the history of Brookwood, okay? So just imagine that, y'all, you know, playing as a freshman, getting torn down, having his confidence torn away from him, but then becoming motivated and controlling the controllables. That's something that Taylor Heineke said, one of our season 1 guests. He tapped into it. He mentioned, shout out to G County earlier in the live, but controlling the controllables. So he took control of what he could and went out there and was pretty much a wrecking ball. Went out there hitting everything with 2 legs. You know what I'm saying? So and on the field. So went through that there and got his opportunity, like he said, taking those mental reps. But when his name was called, took advantage of it, and like I said, became the all-time leading tackler in Brookwood history. Right. So that's big there. And I commend you for that, man. That's a great accomplishment there. So with the success that you had with becoming the all-time leading tackler there, man, what was your ranking and things of that nature like? How were you taking in that success that started rolling in? Because you say the rest was history after that pick 6 of 98 yards.
Yeah, I mean the rankings and whatnot. I was like 4-star, and just to give you an idea, some of the guys who were in my class, we had like Eric Berry. We had Alan Bailey. We had Morgan Burnett. We had Caleb King, who was the number 1 running back at that time. We had Cam Newton. He was in that class. So extreme talent. And so I was like the number 11 player in the state that year. Number 11, I think I was either number 4 or number 11. I'll just say top 10 player coming out of the state of Georgia. Number 11 ranked linebacker. 4-star, like a lot of, just a lot of different accolades, man. But at the end of the day, it was about, man, just setting myself up to achieve my dream, which was going to University of Georgia. And then, helping my teammates, man. Like the stats and the awards and the accolades was just a result of the dedication that I had towards, like, seeing a smile on my brother's face and just becoming the best version of myself.
Right.
So for me, it was like this. I was just obsessed with perfection. Like I was obsessed with improvement. And so whether it was on the field or whether it was in the weight room or whether it was in the classroom, I was just always constantly challenging myself. Like if I had 15 tackles, but I missed 2, like in my mind, I had a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
So on average, I was making anywhere from 15 to 20 tackles a game.
Yeah, that's crazy. Them some numbers. A game, 15 to 20 a game.
It was like, I was like, man, you don't understand, bro. Like I just literally told myself like I'm gonna make every single tackle, and I'm gonna get to Georgia. Like Georgia was sleeping on me early on, and that's something I'll talk about a lot. But early on, like I was even when it came to getting up there, bro. It wasn't like they just gave me that scholarship right away and were like, "You're amazing." Like nah, I was going up to Georgia, bro, before I was even on their radar.
Okay.
So,
what was that recruiting process like? Were there many schools offering you and things of that nature, or were you just solely stuck and sold on you're going to Georgia? Like nobody else mattered.
Nobody else really mattered, man. But it was still cool at that time before they came in to get the recognition from the other schools. And I also kept an open mind too, because I knew there was a possibility because of my height. I was like 5'9.5", 5'10" at that time when it started. My sophomore year, even though I was getting the stats, I still knew that they wanted that 6'1" to 6'3" size linebacker. And even my own coaches was like, man, Rennie, don't be surprised if they don't really hop on you. Like, you're undersized.
Right.
Every newspaper article was talking about it. When I went to the rivals camps, they were talking about it. And so I had to go the extra mile in every single thing that I did. So that means at 15 years old, my sophomore year, right after the recruiting process started, going into it was funny, bro. I wish it was like social media was as big as it is now, because I would have some funny ass videos, bro. Like I was going up to UGA, up to Athens, man, as a 15-year-old with my little league coach, with my Timberland boots on, with my hoodie on, trying to look a little
Them
bit bigger,
inches,
get a
for
little bit
sure.
extra inches. And this was like I'll be up there, man, like spring ball, like and I knew one of the coaches, his one of our linebacker coaches at that time, his name was Dickie May, and he had coached a couple guys who were at University of Georgia. He coached me in high school, and so he connected us. It was Des Williams was one of them, and Danny Ware. I don't know if you remember. It was Thomas Brown, Craig Lumpkin, and Danny Ware, who were the three Georgia running backs at that time. They all went on to play in the NFL and whatnot. But I knew I was able to meet Danny through one of my coaches, so I would go up there, man, like religiously, bro, like at least like twice a month, 2 to 3 times a month.
Wow.
UGA, bro. I'm not even on their radar. They don't know nothing about me. I'm just up there, bro, like this annoying little kid. And like I'm talking about players be like making fun of me. Like I don't care. I'm up there.
So,
And yeah, go ahead.
let me ask, were you getting recruited to play running back or linebacker?
Linebacker. Nobody even
Linebacker.
knew me as, once I got moved up to high school, like nobody even really knew me as a running back
The
anymore.
running back.
All about linebacker.
Yeah.
But now I became the undersized linebacker. Right? So it just presented another challenge. But, like I said, I was relentless, man. So between going up to UGA, man, and just showing my face, meeting Coach Rick and getting in everybody's face, getting out on the field, putting up those numbers, at least, like I said, at least 15 to 20 tackles a game, like no
Right.
less. Like my junior year had 198 tackles that season. And what happened?
198 tackles.
Yeah, bro. Like it wasn't
I'm
no.
rounding that up, man. You had 200 tackles. I'm gonna just say you had 2 assists, and we're gonna say that's 200 tackles.
Bro, when I say I was like on the grind, man. Like it was really like I sacrificed. I earned that shit. Like I earned
Right.
it. And even in the weight room, man. Like I left high school benching 425, squatting 515, and cleaning 320. Like those records still stand. So it wasn't just the football field, man. Like a dedication to just, like I said, perfection, man, as close as I could be, and just maximizing everything God gave me, man. I was going to leave no stone unturned. And I told myself, too, if Georgia didn't give me that scholarship, that I was going to go to Auburn or Tech or whoever, and I was going to give them hell and make sure they regretted it.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh yeah.
was
Hey, we I would say Georgia lucky that you did not make that decision to go somewhere else, because they definitely would have felt your wrath, man.
yeah, man.
And it's crazy to look at the numbers that you put up. You know what I'm saying? Out of all the success you had, being ranked top in the state of Georgia, or maybe even the nation, putting up those numbers, 200 tackles in a game, 15 to 20 tackles per game, and all they want to talk about is your size.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Your height.
Yeah. And
You know what
like I said, it was a recurring theme for my whole entire career, man. That was like the one thing is like, does this, but his height.
Right.
And so even after I got offered, like I still remember, man, when I first got my offer to the University of Georgia, it was like, even some of the fans were like, I remember, because I used to go and read the message boards and see like what the things like that. Fans was like, oh man, he's a special teams player. Some was like, why did Georgia? I'll never forget this line. Somebody was like, why did Georgia just offer a midget a scholarship?
Mm.
Yeah, and just all those things were just
Right.
like fuel. It was like adding gasoline to my fire, man. So
Fire.
I thrived off that, man. I learned how to really take that and use it to my advantage every time I was doubted, and I was used to it, man. That's was my foundation, man. Was being doubted, was coming from nothing. Like I said, my parents coming here. My mom came here with $10 in her pocket, so all I knew was my back being against the wall. So it just was more motivation.
For sure.
Yeah, man.
Hey, y'all. So for those who haven't seen him in person, and he's talking about his size right now. He said about 5'9", 5'10". Y'all go check out his Instagram page. You know what I'm saying? you would say he's undersized for a linebacker, but this man is just a muscle. You know what I'm saying? Go check him out. You know what I'm saying? So he's a muscle. So just imagine everything that he was punishing, out there on that football field. To have that mindset, hey, I'm undersized, but I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna build my body up to sustain and be able to play recklessly. You know what I'm saying? And you did that, man. You did that. So transitioning into college, going to UGA, we all get 5 years to play for. So talk to me about what your mindset was like going into UGA to play. After hearing everything, checking out those message boards and things of that nature, you getting the opportunity to go to UGA. Did you want to go in there and make an impact right then and there as a freshman, or did you want to take advantage of a redshirt year and build your body and grow and wear those Timberlands and hope they stick to your feet so you can play with them on too?
Yeah, nah. I went in there with like one mindset is I want to be the best to ever come through here.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't care. Like you see a lot of kids now, they may or may not go to a school because of the depth chart or because they're recruiting that person and they're the number one this. And I was like, I don't care who's on the depth chart, man. I'm going here and this is what's gonna be it. And it was my dream to be that household name and that hometown kid, man, who inspired everybody around me. Like it wasn't just about me. There was a certain point where like maybe after my junior year, my senior year, after I got that scholarship, where it's like I started to understand, man, that like it was real. Like the accomplishments, the things that I overcame, it gave somebody else motivation. It made somebody else believe. And so I would start hearing from that parent who's like, man, my kid is on the team and they have him at this position, but his coach doesn't think he's big enough. I started getting so many stories like that where I understood, man, like this is my success is attached to somebody else's belief and
For sure.
in their ability to see that they can overcome their situation. And so going in with that type of mindset and knowing that I got the city on my back, I got the country of Liberia on my back, that is not that many of us that make it, man, it just gave me a whole different mindset, man. And so even when I because the first thing that happens when you get to University of Georgia is you walk in that locker room and you look around and you see guys that was number one coming to their school, that was number one in the nation. They got all the size, all the physical abilities in the world where it's not even fair. You just looking at them, you like, bro, you serious? Like,
Yeah.
You 6'8" and you 300 pounds and you can run, you can run like the wind. Like, it's just you see guys like that, and it's very easy to be intimidated and very easy to say, man, damn, like, I don't know if I'm gonna ever play here, bro. Like,
what did I get myself into?
Like, what did I get? Yeah, and I had those moments. I'll be lying if I told you, man, like that. I just always believe, like, same thing is Brookwood when they moved me up to high school. When I got to UGA, I ain't play right away. Nobody really acknowledged me. The coach didn't really give me that many reps. All those things, and it became that same thing where I had to go by faith. I had to get in the weight room, get in the film room before anybody like acknowledged me or before I was ever able to get on the field and do anything. I had to pay my dues. And I had to operate as, like I coined the phrase, this is my mantra that I live by. I had to operate at the level of my vision. Not at the level of my circumstance, but at the level of my vision. So that meant believing that I'm a starter long before it ever happened, long before anybody else believed. And so I would get in that film, like I said, after everybody gone home, I'm in the film room, bro, watching the extra hour, watching Tony Taylor, watching Odell Thurman, Thomas Davis, and just studying them. I'm on the field, same thing I did in high school.
Yeah.
I'm on the field 20, 30 yards behind everybody looking crazy. Like ball snaps, the starting defense is out there. I'm back by myself, going through the mental reps, man. Going through
that diamond of a mantra you just dropped right there. I need everybody who tapped in right now to write that down. Can you repeat that for us one time? I don't want to, fumble it, but let me hear you repeat that one time.
Nah, yeah, I'll be glad to, man. Operate at the level of your vision.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I can go more in depth with that, but that's something that I live by to this day. And there's so many people right now, they're operating at the level of their circumstances. They're the victim of their environment, right? They let their environment set the tone on how they're going to approach things, their vision that they have, the character that they have, the mindset that they have, and it just like they settle and they accept what life gives them. But in those moments, man, I told myself, but like, I know where I see myself at. I know where I want to be 5 years from now. I know what I want to be able to do for my family. So by virtue of that, this is the standard that I'm going to operate by. So my time that point didn't matter. Like how many reps my coach gave me didn't matter.
Right.
It was all about what my vision was. And so therefore I approached the weight room a certain way. I approached the film room a certain way. I approached practice a certain way. I only went one speed, right? So what happened was by virtue of me creating those habits and those mannerisms where I was the starter, sick once again, week 1 pass, week 2 pass, week 3,
Yep.
4, 5, 6, 7.
And then
By
your name got called.
Yep. By week 7, we playing Tennessee, bro. That's when they had Arian Foster and Mario Hardesty and, a lot of great players. The guy ahead of me, he's 6'3", 250, and amazing player, man. Number 1 player coming out of his school. And what happened was we were down by 3 touchdowns, and he was supposed to have the running back, Montario Hardesty, man-to-man, and he blew the coverage. Montario Hardesty caught the pass on a wheel route for a touchdown, and the next thing I know, I get a phone call from the sidelines, and we had a phone that connected up to the skybox, skybox, where our linebacker coach was, and he's like, "Rennie, you're in." Boom, and that was my opportunity. Got in, like probably like the second play, they ran a running back counter play, shot through there, made a TFL, ended up making about five plays that game, and then next week we had Vanderbilt. Had got a little bit more plays, got more shine, made some plays. Next week, got my first start. It was against Florida, and I don't know if you remember this, but the game where we ran on the field after Noshawn Marino scored the touchdown.
I don't remember it, but talk to me about it. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean it was one of the craziest games. You go watch it now, but
I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Yeah, anything like that again. Noshawn Marino scored the first touchdown, and it was like the biggest penalty ever. Like we all ran on the field, but that was my first start against Tim Tebow, Percy Harvin, all those cats, man. And it all came because I was ready in that one moment, and I had did all leading up to that to be a starter. Ended up making one of the biggest plays of the game to help us win. And I was 18 years old, bro. Like I was so young. Yeah, but it was just like I said, it was the mindset that I developed, man, that helped me to be ready. It was the faith, going by faith and not by my sight, not by the things that I could see, not by how people were treating me, but where I knew I was eventually going to be, man. So that's been my lesson for life and something that I've always taken with me.
Man, you just said move by faith, man. I'm reading this new book called The 1 Year Uncommon Life by Tony Dungy. And it's a quote in there, man. I'm gonna find that quote and I'm gonna drop it out here on y'all when I can. That's a very it's a different way to look at that statement and that phrase there. But man, I want to say to take all of that in as a young kid, thinking about the impact that you were making on people that were coming after you. You know what I'm saying? You said that you had Liberia on your back. You had your community on your back. Just being able to take all of that on, man, and using that as a way to, just create opportunities for yourself and those that come behind you, man. So that's big there, man. I'm pretty sure all of us definitely taking some from this testimony here tonight, man. Again, I greatly appreciate it. For those who are tapping in right now, please, if y'all enjoying this live so far, hit that heart down there at the bottom right corner, y'all. Give us some energy. We're live right now. Tap that heart down there, y'all. If y'all are enjoying this live right now, hit that paper airplane, share this out to all, everyone ask your questions below. We're still going to tap into those questions very shortly. But this is a great testimony. Hey, Rennie, man, I'm enjoying it. Continue to teach, continue to educate, man, continue to inspire, man. So as within your freshman year, you went out there, you got your opportunity, man, and you played, man. You ended up becoming an All-American. Yeah. Right. As a freshman, as a true freshman. Right. Again, now after going through something that you already experienced, throughout high school, being put in that position again at the collegiate level, but then now you're having that success roll around again. So once that started coming about, man, how were you able to take that in at the collegiate level, after going through what you had already been through?
Yeah, I mean, it was really about humility, man. Not ever getting caught up in success, because I know that just as much as failure and setbacks and obstacles can give people, success can give people just as much. And getting caught up in it, But one of the greatest things, man, is the fact that I was close to home, man. So I always made sure I came back, I saw the family. And when I was in that house, it's like I'm in Liberia. So it's Liberian rules. I'm washing dishes. I'm taking the trash out. It's not Rennie Curran, the football player. It's Rennie Curran, a junior. You know, I'm a junior. So I'm still the same old Rennie. I go back to my church. So as much as I could be around my community, man, I made sure that I kept things the same, you know, in terms of the things that the values that I was raised up on, the foundation that I built. I made sure I went back and you know, still saw my same teachers, still saw my same coaches. I mean, I was cool with the janitors. I was cool with everybody. When I say I was a product of the community, real product of the community. And I had so many people, and that's one thing that kept me humble too, is I had so many people that helped me, man. Like I said, my Little League coach was one. I had another guy who, I mean, so many trainers, man, that like let me train for free. You know, I talked about those numbers, man. There was a reason why. Like I had a guy by the name of Ryan Golden. Ryan's, yeah, he trained so many amazing players. Chip Smith, like I mentioned before, Chip Smith was like training so many NFL guys, man. Guys from every sport. Guys like Champ Bailey, Brian Urlacher. I was able to meet Jesse Tuggle. So many guys through him. And he, like I said, my parents couldn't afford that jump, but he let me train there for free, man. And, you know, so many other guys, man, that just really, really poured into me. So when I had that in the back of my mind, it was like, there's no way I could get to that level and then let that go to my head. It's like, nah, you know, I don't got an arrogant bone in my body. Like I come from beginnings.
Yeah.
And so that's what really kept me stable. And it was still a challenge, man. Like when you at a University of Georgia, in a college like that, in a small town, that target's on your back. And that's when like Facebook and all those things really started to grow, like as far as social media and being tagged in pictures and all those things. And so that became a factor, like just learning how to navigate being a name on campus and, you know, women and all those different things. I was dating the girl I dated in high school for a while. My daughter, she also was pregnant after my freshman year. So that changed like everything, bro. Like going from being just a student and an athlete, which was already tough, to getting ready to be a father. Like that giant.
Very young age.
Yeah. I mean, I was barely 20 years old, man, getting ready to turn 21 when she was when she was expecting. And things were very, very real. And at the same time, my family was still struggling. So I'm getting that Pell Grant check. I'm taking out student loans, splitting everything in half so I can help my family. Man. It was real.
Yeah. Hey man, that's crazy there, man. I'm gonna just say that, man. Again, I also had my son at a young age, man. But to again, you know, have this success that you've been having, to go through these experiences that you were going through, and then to be expecting a child at a young age, man. You were, you say 19, that's teenager, going on 20, you know what I'm saying? You had to grow up fast, man, and figure out a way and figure out how to become a man, you know what I'm saying, at the young age, to be able to provide for your daughter. And you spoke about you did the right things, you know what I'm saying? Not sure if you had any financial background of financial education growing up and things of that nature there, but to have the intelligence, man, to take that Pell Grant money, you know what I'm saying, and split it, you know what I'm saying, being able to prepare yourself to get ready to take care of your daughter. You know what I'm saying? That's big. And that's something that I think as a college athlete needs to be spoken about a lot more, man. Because I can speak about my experience of receiving Pell Grant checks. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
Shoot, man. Right. I can be honest and say I ain't got nothing to show for it right now. You know what I'm saying? You could probably go on my Facebook around that time when I was in college and around the time we got that Pell Grant check and see what I did with it. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, again, to be able to do something different with that, man, that's beautiful there, man. That's touching. So what was the rest of your college career like, you know, after that freshman year? You had your sophomore year, junior year, and then you had 5 years to play for. What was your college career like?
Yeah, after that, man, it was about consistency. And that's something that's been, you know, once again, a recurring theme was like, how close to perfect can I be? And you know, after my freshman year, it was about just taking it to another level. And then also it became not so much about my performance and getting on the field. It was about how can I influence everybody around me too, because I understand it don't matter how many tackles I make. If we not winning games, if I'm not influencing the next guy to get in the film room like I was and want to get to that next level, then it really don't matter.
Matter.
And I'm just gonna be a one-man show. And so I started thinking about more going into that second year and that third year about how can I be more of a leader? How can I have more of an influence? You know, how can I rally the troops, man? And so that was my big thing, man. Just and then you know you get the freshmen who come up after you and the you know and whatnot. So it just provides you more and more of a platform that the more that you know you have that success. So I started getting the awards. I was a Buckets Award finalist and the Barty Award finalists and had like an ESPN feature and all these different things were happening where it's like more, you know, more and more notoriety, but it just became a situation where I had more and more responsibility, you know, with, like I said, with that success.
You had that C on your jersey too.
Yeah, that C on my jersey, it got really real, you know what I'm saying? And then like by my sophomore year, because of the success that I was having, it just became also a lot more other opportunities to do other things like, you know, deal with agents and like start thinking about the NFL and, you know, and just really situation where I could have squandered it very easily. You know what I'm saying? Like the more you rise, the easier it is to fall.
Right.
And
yeah, for sure.
Realize, like if you don't have the right character, man, you can very easily find yourself in bad situations. And it doesn't just, you know, it doesn't just have to be things on the field, things off the field. It can be women. It can be, you know, so many situations, man. And so I had to learn how to navigate that as well too. And that's a very, very tough thing to navigate when you don't even know yourself. You know, at 20, 21 years old, and you know, when you turn 21, your first thought is, "Dang, I'm legal. I can go drink now.
I'm grown."
I'm grown. Yeah, I'm grown. So if you don't have the right values and the right character or some type of guardrails, which I'm glad, like my mom kept me in church and different things like that, you could very easily go down the wrong path, man. And then like success will kind of be like a drug. It'll sedate you from your reality of the fact that you're going down like you're on a bad trajectory, right? And it's like it's one of those things I think about all the time because you can, you know, have success and things can look great, but that success a lot of times isn't the real reality of the situation. And you see it happen with so many celebrities, so many different people where it's like they balling, they're doing great, but then all of a sudden, boom, they crash. And it's because, you know, behind the scenes in their private life, they were doing things, they were making decisions that were leading them to an expected end. And they didn't realize it because of the success that they were having around them and the people who they had around them who were yes people and things like that.
For sure, man. Hey, let me ask you really quick. What did your parents think about, the success that you were having? What when you were going back home, man, how were your parents responding and your family responding to everything that you were going through?
Oh,
and also finding out that you were expecting.
It was dope, man. Like that was one of the best parts, honestly, about, you know, being able to go and achieve my dream was just making my family proud. Like at this time, my dad had lost his business. He lost his business around when I was in 7th grade, and he fell into like alcoholism and depression. My mom, she had almost died at one point, so she was, you know, this was around 7th grade. She was on her deathbed, man, like literally almost died, and but was able to bounce back. And my dad never really recovered after losing his business, so he was just working odd jobs, like, you know, worked at a mental health institution, worked as a janitor at the church right down the street from my high school, worked as a taxi cab driver, almost got killed. Like I'm talking about the person he picked up pulled the trigger on his got like it was just God. This happened like my sophomore year at Georgia. And then after that he went on to work at Walmart, and he still works at Walmart now. Super humble people, man, super hardworking. I mean, came to this country, just helped everybody. Like when my dad was in a good position, he helped a lot of my cousins, uncles, aunts come to this country and set themselves up, man. So to like be able to make it to UGA and like, you know, just make them proud, man. Like it was everything, bro. And like my sophomore year going into my junior year, my jerseys were being sold in Walmarts and in the mall and in different places. And, you know, for him to know that his son, you know, is now like he's in Walmart and you know, people knew his name, and we got, you know, I'm a junior. So they're like, you know, Rennie Curran's your son, like just all those little moments that happened for him. It was dope, man. And they didn't know before that really anything about football at all. But now this time they were the biggest football fans ever. You know, they coming to Georgia games. They know all the calls. They know they telling me what Coach Rick should have done. everything. So it was cool, like being able to expose them to that
Right.
whole new culture. Yeah.
Man, you spoke about it real quick, and we're gonna jump off topic real quick. You spoke about your jerseys being sold in Walmart, man. How much of that money did you receive, man? Your jerseys being sold.
Zero, dog. Like it was
Zero.
it was crazy. And that honestly, that was a big turning point for me because that's when I started to understand that this thing is a business. Like there
Hmm.
is revenue being generated that I have no clue about. And that's when
Right.
I started really becoming aware of my surroundings, asking questions, talking to people who didn't look like me, you know, and it really just opened up my eyes about the whole system of the business of sports. And I kind of got bitter towards it, man, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
um, because you hear so many people say, oh, athletes get a scholarship, they should be happy and different things like that.
Right.
But like when people really, when you're on the other side of it and you're actually living it and you're in the system and you understand how much of a business it is and how much revenue is being generated, not just from the athletic association side,
Right.
even the sports side. Like you got to think of the big picture, right? So just take the city of Athens, for example. When a game is played, how many people travel to the city,
Oh yeah.
right? How many different businesses are affected? Like a whole economy is created around a game. So you're talking about hotels, restaurants. It's gonna be at least an hour, 2 hour wait when you talk about eating at a restaurant before or after a game.
Yeah.
Uh, the mom and pop shops who have parking lots,
Hmm.
so Uber drivers, like I mean, so many businesses, are impacted by a game,
They
by
eating.
yeah, eating, bro.
They
Age
eating.
killing themselves. You know what I'm saying? And so when people say, "Oh, you get a scholarship," I'm like, bro, you don't even understand how big this thing is, and that's just
Right.
like those aspects of it. We're not even talking about the TV revenue that's generated. The sponsorships. When you go into a stadium, just look around. Next time you go into a stadium, look around and see how many different companies are represented
Hmm.
within that stadium. And when they do all the little games that they do, you know how they have like a mascot chasing after another mascot.
Oh yeah.
Take notice of who it's sponsored by. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
just to get that spot, like a lot of companies are paying six figures. And this is college. And then you go up into the stands, right? They got, just like when you go to a Falcons game or a Braves game, they have corporate suites. They got
Hmm.
college.
Yep.
You're paying six figures for a room to watch a game. So when I started understanding all those different aspects, man, I was just like, bro, this is crazy.
Man, that's something that I did not understand, man. I'll put it out there. I signed my I'm not gonna say I signed my letter of intent, but I was offered my football scholarship to Old Dominion in one of those suites. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
So,
right.
just to think about that there. And man, again, that's crazy. I'm also thinking about right now how a lot of people said, hey, yeah, y'all get scholarships, whatever, this and that. You get a scholarship. I think that you should answer that question with a question, right? And that question should be something like, what about the people who's getting paid for the game? The parking lots. What about the
Hmm.
the Walmarts, you know what I'm saying, that's selling my jersey, and I'm not getting none of that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that a lot of athletes should answer that question with a question and see what those people's responses are, and have a conversation around that.
Yeah, I mean, I got one better. Like, because a lot of people don't understand certain things if it's not in their world, if it's not in their terminology.
Hmm.
It's like if you if you flip it on somebody and put it in the terms of their world, that would be ridiculous. That would be like going to work and you get a stipend or something. You get a food and hotel
Yeah,
stipend in exchange for your work. Like, do you think that would be a fair exchange?
for
Like, well, you
sure.
physical cash, but you just getting a stipend or
That's
like a check that allows you to be able to cover your rent and take care of your food, but it's not real cash. It's just
right.
like what I'm saying, like they agree with that. Or if I always ask them this, and I think about this all the time. If I was to bring some kids here from my home country of Liberia, and I had, let's say they were singers or whatever, and I was to put them on tour, and and I was making millions off of them, and I said, oh well, I gave them an opportunity. I brought them over here. They're living with me. They don't have to pay for anything. I got them in school, but I'm making millions of dollars off of them. Would that make me a good person, or would that make me an opportunist and somebody who's exploiting a situation?
Right.
Um, you know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
very what happened. And then also on top of that, I could see if we were able to monetize, our name recognition, all those different things, but you can't even monetize your own name. That's one thing that hit me too my sophomore year that I did not like, man. And it happened because I became a father, right? Like I was trying to set myself up to be able to provide for my daughter. And a situation came where I tried to, it was actually one of those MLM companies, multi-level marketing companies.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking, you know, I got this name recognition. I can get with this company. I can use my name. I can use I can, you know, be able to, Georgia fans, that I can get at least 10 of them to buy this service from me, and I can have some recurring revenue. But I tried to do that junk, and like within a couple hours, I got a call from a compliance guy, NCAA guy. Like, you got to shut this thing down. I created like a Facebook group and used one of my pictures. And he was like, you got to shut that down. And not only did I have to shut that down, but I had to reapply for my scholarship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the first time I learned about likeness, name, image, likeness, because he was like, you can't use your name likeness. And I was like,
I can't, but others can.
Right. I was like, what do you mean I can't use my name, image, and likeness? He's like, yeah, you can't use your name and image and likeness to promote anything. I was like, wow. And that's when I like had that like light bulb moment. And that's when I started reading the fine print of even our scholarships.
Okay.
And when I say, man, like I just, cause I was already an entrepreneur, like talking about back at 10 years old, I was mowing lawns. I was doing whatever I had to do. So I already had that mindset of looking at a situation and being able to see how I could monetize and leverage it. And so when I got into that scenario and heard that, I just was like, man, this ain't right. This ain't right. And it just really opened up my eyes to like the whole business model. And, you know, and not saying that to bash the whole college football system, but not, because it creates a lot of opportunities and things like that for us as well. But there's just so many things that's just wrong about it. You know,
got to make it fair.
Things, yeah. And that name, image, and likeness is at the top of the list. As far as like things that are just straight up wrong, that should not exist. That's like, this thing should have been, it should have never started. You know what I'm saying? It's just because when you think about being in college and you think about any other student and you think about like if they were put under those same terms, how ridiculous that would be. Like imagine if at Harvard they told Mark Zuckerberg that he couldn't start Facebook, he couldn't use his name. You know what I'm saying? How ridiculous would that be? So yeah, that was kind of that was a big part of my experience in college, was just realizing the system that I was in.
So since that is something that's being talked about right now, it's on the forefront right there, name, image, and likeness for college athletes coming up and are playing right now. And what's something that that you would you know, suggest or tell those college athletes, you know, with that possibly transitioning into, you know, collegiate athletics?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, I would highly suggest any college athlete that's listening to this, or any high school athletes that's watching, that's aspiring to be at the college level, is to build your brand, protect your brand. You know, so you think of any company, I always use this analogy, but everybody has a brand, every company has a brand. And what I mean by that is when you hear about certain product, certain service, a restaurant, a hotel, a car brand, a clothing brand, certain thoughts come to mind. You know, certain beliefs come to mind. Quality comes to mind, or lack of quality comes to mind. And so just as you have certain thoughts and beliefs and a certain experience that you may visualize in your mind, when you hear about a certain brand, your name has that same effect. Your presence has that certain effect. So it's up to you to create that brand. It's up to you to create that experience, that belief, right? That's attached with your name. So you can look at a guy like a LeBron James. He has, his brand is gold, right?
Yeah, for sure.
There's not one brand that wouldn't want to align with him. There's not one company that wouldn't want to endorse him right now, because he's established a brand, and he's consistent with protecting his brand, from the things he does off the field to the relationship with his wife and his family, to how he conducts himself and how he handles interviews. So that would be my number one advice, is like, build your brand and protect your brand at all costs. Because no matter how many plays you make on the field, no matter how, you know, what your stats are, no matter how high draft pick you are, that junk eventually will make or break you. And that's one of the reasons why I've been able to sustain myself as an entrepreneur now is because of my brand, the brand that I built, even going back to high school.
Yeah.
You know, and the place where I was able to monetize it the most is when it was time for me to go to the NFL. You know, and that's when I had to answer for all those things. So my brand, the Rennie Curran brand, I had to answer that. I had to speak on that. I had to sell that brand to a team for them to draft me.
Right.
If I wasn't able to sell that, you know, if my brand was incredible, if there were people who spoke bad about it, you know, if I couldn't sell it, then I was gonna be at the crib. Like it was sick, you know, simple as that. They were gonna sign somebody else up.
Yeah.
And even now, like when my name comes up, if I pick up the phone right now and I call a school, if I call a business, if I call an association, and they know Rennie Curran and they are familiar with my brand, that's a check.
For
Like
sure.
man,
Yeah, that's a check.
really
Right.
paying
Right. Right.
right now, my brand. And a lot of times when we're young, man, when we're making plays, we're not thinking about that. We're not thinking about our interaction with people and how that creates that little small interaction. That person who you decide to sign the autograph for their kid, or you decide
Yeah.
to just speak to them and say, "Man, how you doing?" You know, or that interview that you do, whether you're articulate and you know, you're well spoken, you give a thought provoking answer. How that establishes a brand. We don't think about that because we so
Right.
focused on the game, and then what happens is 5 years, 10 years later, when you know people do not forget, people like that jump leaves an impression. And so what happens 10 years, 15 years down the line, you in a different situation. Now you ain't on the field no more. Now people
Right.
ain't paying to come watch you play no more.
Right.
Now you need them. You might need a job interview. You might need a speaking engagement. You might,
Exactly.
you know, have a product you're trying to sell. And the only thing they have to go by is that brand that you build, that brand experience that they had before. And that's when it matters. You know, so that's the advice I would give to them. I know that was a little long winded, but it's so
Oh
important.
nah, man, I'm here all for it, man. You just dropped diamonds on us right there. You know what I'm saying? And for those who are listening who aren't athletes, who's also out there building their brands and things of that, keep that in mind as well. So building your brand does play a huge role into your life and the success that you have, the things, those checks coming in and things of that nature. There, I just think about experiences. So after spring football games, we sit around the field and we sign autographs and things of that nature there, and stuff like that. Coaches bring footballs into the locker room and we have to sign those balls and things of that nature there. I think like what do they do with those things? You know what I'm saying? Like we put our name and stuff on that. And
Right.
these people, definitely probably have hope that we're making it to the next level, things of that nature there. But there's probably some type of intent behind it all. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? But we
oh,
we don't know that. But let me ask you, so you that clicked for you at a young age in college.
mm-hmm.
Do you think that there are other teammates that was, adopting and developing that same type of those same type of thoughts and things of that nature, where you're having conversations with other teammates like, man, we're not getting paid, like my jersey in the store, but I'm not getting paid for it and things of that nature. Like you
Yeah,
had Matt Stafford out there as our quarterback.
right. And everybody's in different situations, man. Like
Hmm.
for me, it was so real because and it was so I don't want to say devastating, but it was more so frustrating because of my situation. Like
Yeah.
if my
Oh
parents
yeah.
were, you know, making good money and you know, I was in a situation where I didn't even really need the scholarship. Like we just
No
come from,
reason to sweat.
yeah, and I go back home, they got a well paying job, all that stuff. It wouldn't have been as frustrating as it was. So for a guy like Matthew Stafford, like Matthew came from money. You know, Highland Park. Dad was a dentist, a major dentist. So his situation was completely night and day different from mine. Or like a Rashad Jones, like Rashad Jones grew up with his grandmother, you know, and things like that. Came from a tough situation. So that was a big factor as well too, because like I remember, I mean, recently, maybe a year ago, Tim Tebow was talking about, oh, you know, athletes shouldn't be paid and different things like, and it's like, Tim, bro, you got like you totally disregarding the experience of so many of your teammates
Right.
who did not have the same experience as you. Like right now, Tim Tebow getting like 50,000 a pop just to speak, you know, at an
Yeah.
event. He's in a totally different bracket, like a totally different experience. So for guys like that, like you can't really. It's hard to have that conversation. They know it exists, right? But it doesn't necessarily affect them like
Right.
it with me. And so for the guys who we were kind of in that same bucket, we on that struggle bus. we definitely talking about that, how messed up it is and whatnot. I'll say that. I say this too.
Man, that's
Yeah, I'm there.
no.
I'll
Go
say this
ahead.
too. Some guys, it wasn't like they just did not have that awareness. They were there for one thing, and we all guys is there that's straight football, basketball. Like that's
Yeah.
that's what they're there for. Ball is life, right?
Right.
And nothing else. Tunnel vision. And that's been their whole entire life. So I was kind of that in between, man. And I really like I don't know. I can't really say what you can attribute it to. I think because I was entrepreneurial from the beginning, like I was just had that business mind. I really saw things deeper than it really was. And I was a business major too, so I really started to understand business. I had grew up around like my school was majority white people, so I grew up around a lot of white people, and I was able to have those conversations and things like that. Whereas it's different as well. Like if you grow up, you coming from I don't know, a Columbus, Georgia, Macon, like you haven't been around white people like that. You come from all that school is one situation. Like you're not really gonna know if you sitting at a table, you at a banquet, and you sitting at a table with the CEO
For sure.
of, what I'm saying, major corporation,
Yeah.
older white male, like you're not really gonna know how to have that conversation. But luckily for me, I did, and it really gave me an advantage just knowing how to navigate those conversations. And even if I didn't know what to say, I at least was comfortable being in those scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of us, that can be very uncomfortable, man. So, for those listening, y'all, please take it all in. I appreciate y'all tapping in, listening with an open mind. We have Rennie Curran here, y'all, delivering the true testimony to us, and I'm greatly appreciative of it, man. I'm here all for it. So we're gonna wrap up your collegiate career, man. Pretty much, you ended your collegiate career as a junior. You entered the draft, right? At that point in time, but you left UGA as an All-American, like
Yeah.
all 3 years, right? But then also most recently, man, in 2019, man, you were inducted into the Georgia versus Florida Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
How was that feeling for you, man? Tell us about that. What was that like?
It was crazy, man. Like I said, just when you come from like that situation where you got it from the mud, you know what I'm saying? You were doubted. And I told you the scenario of how I even became a starter in that game.
Mm-hmm.
When you come from that, man, it's humbling, it's inspiring, man, and it's I just am thankful, and it wasn't even just about me. It was about like I talked about this in my speech when I was inducted, but I couldn't have done it if it weren't for my teammates.
Yeah.
Like Gino, I had an amazing defensive line in front of me. Gino Atkins,
Mm-hmm.
Justin Houston, guys who held up blocks, man, so that I was free to make a play. Donnell Ellaby took on blocks from fullbacks and all types of things, man. Sacrificed his body so I could make a play. So it was so much bigger than just me getting inducted, man. It was like a representation, man, of the hard work, the dedication, the faith. But then also, like I said, my teammates, both on and off the field, man, going back to my little league coach, who took me to my first game, man, and the lunch ladies, the lunch ladies who would give me extra cookies and juice, like when I was trying to hit 220. It's just like it's one of those full circle moments that just really makes you thankful and humble.
Let's transition into what your NFL combine, experience and draft was like, man. You took that leap of faith. Your position, the position you were in, were different than others. So, you
Yeah.
left college after your junior year. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? To enter that, again, setting yourself up to be able to provide for your family, your daughter, and things of that nature. There, man. Just quickly run through what that combine experience and draft was like, man. Let me ask you before you get into that, how many reps did you hit that 225 at, man? Again, you're a muscle man, so I know you probably put up 50.
Yeah, I did 26 in the combine, or like 24 in the combine. And then they don't give you all the full reps if you don't lock out. So I
Yeah.
did 26, 27, but they only gave me like 24. And then in the pro day, I did like 20. I think I did 26 or 27.
Yeah.
But I mean, the combine, man, even leading up to the combine, like it's a lot, bro. Like we have to do a whole show just to talk about the combine itself, because what you see and what actually happens in the combine, two different things. But just preparing, man. Like you just go into this mode where like it's like eat, breathe, sleep, crap, football, and so you're preparing day in day out, man, to just become the most elite, most physical, most just the best version of yourself as an athlete. So training for 4 hours a day, go and see the chiropractor, financial advisor, you got that. Like you basically become a CEO overnight
Okay.
of you. And so that was my number one job coming out. Once I signed my name on that dotted line and decided to move on, it was about getting that agent. It was about getting the, like I said, the trainer, the financial advisor, chiropractor, all those different components in place. And then for those 2-3 months, just like I said, eat, sleep, crap, football, man. Like, making sure I know every single component of how to explain the game of football, how to sell myself, because that's what people don't really talk about. You're really in sales at that point. You're trying to turn yourself into the best product possible. And that was a big part of the combine. When you actually get to the combine, I mean, it's intimidating, man. Like you talking about, there's only 300 of y'all,
Yeah.
the best, the best. And so you walk in, man, and it's like dog eat dog. Everybody there trying to get chose.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Every single thing is on the line. You're being evaluated on everything. Like I ain't never, like, people think their job interviews for the corporate world are tough. I'm like, bro, you ain't got no idea what, like, I'm talking about, they want to know everything. Like, every square inch of your body is evaluated, from your teeth to your, like, feet to everything.
That's crazy.
Your mind, they have you do a million different psychological tests, memory tests, reaction tests, like, everything.
But you felt comfortable in those situations. You felt comfortable when it came to having those conversations with, in that situation.
Yeah,
Probably unlike many others that were around you at that time.
yeah, and that's when I talked about the brand piece. Like that's when it became super important, because when you weren't being evaluated, like as far as your physical side, like for example, the first day you get there is like they check your body basically. So you sit down with a doctor, they ask you a bunch of questions about any injuries you've ever had, whatnot. They evaluate your teeth, blood check, like everything, EKG, all that. Second day is your mental day. That's where you do the Wonderlic and all those different things.
Yeah.
But when you're not doing those things, you're also you have to do the interviews, and that's like the most important part. So you walk into they do your formal interviews and then your informal interviews. So the informal interviews is where you walk into basically like a big convention room, and each team has a table. And so as soon as you walk in, maybe like 5 minutes will pass, and you'll have one of the scouts from one of the teams who will walk up just all of a sudden on the spot and say, "Hey, Rennie, follow me." You'll go over to their table, and on the spot, they're interviewing you. Boom, they'll pull out a sheet with a report on you, and they're like, "Hey, tell us about yourself. Tell us about this formation. What would you do right here? Tell us, what position you played in college. Tell us about your family life." Boom, and then they'll after that, you'll get up. Next thing, another 2 minutes will pass. Another team will come up. So it's just rapid fire. Boom, boom, boom. Like you got to be ready. This is your one chance to sell yourself. And then the second type, the formal interviews, is where like you'll get a card sheet basically when you arrive at the combine. It'll tell you what teams want to do a formal interviews, and these are the teams that like really, really are interested in you.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is you'll have that time sheet with your time and the location. Each team has their own suite at the combine. Like it's in a big convention center. So each team has their own suite that's just like a big room and whatnot, with a big living room and all that stuff in it. Some of it will be set up with a TV, monitor. Some of it they'll have the chalkboard when you walk in, but it's just you in that thing by yourself.
Yeah.
You walk in that thing and you got about 8 other guys in the room with you, by yourself. It's the GM, it's the pro personnel guy, it's the head coach, it's the linebackers coach. Like the whole crew is in there. And then they usually have, I tell guys this all the time, they usually have one guy in there that's their head of security who's former FBI. And this is the guy he's been to your college town, he's gone to your high school, he's gotten all your behavioral records.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, these dudes doing background checks. They getting it all.
Everything, bro. So, and in this moment, you're on the hot seat and you can fly. Like, this is where your brand is on, like, you being judged. It's like Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And so you just, I remember, man, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the GM for like the Tennessee Titans, and he got like a whole stack of papers is on me. Yeah, about like, my work ethic, everything from that to my parents, to my girlfriend, to, what I did my freshman year, which I had to answer for.
That's
Um,
pressure.
yeah, pressure, bro. And
That's
then
pressure, man.
beyond that, like they want to see what you know as well. So one of the teams, they had like 10 plays that, like, where I got beat, or 10 good plays, and they want me to break down myself and know, like, what defensive formation I was in, what my other teammates are doing, what coverage we're in,
Mm-hmm.
what formation, what I'm supposed to do on that play. Another team, Tennessee, when they brought me in, they had me get up on the board, draw up formations, and draw up my favorite defense, or my favorite blitz, and what I would do in certain situations, like if there's a motion, or if there's a
Yeah.
different formation, 3-by-1 or 2-by-2, what I would do in these scenarios. And so it really just like, you got to put your sales hat on, you got to sell
Mm-hmm.
yourself. And so and then other ones were super awkward, like, what I'm saying, like got a interview by Tampa Bay, and they brought me in. It was super short, and he was just like, if I wanted you to bring, he asked me a question like, if I wanted you to run through a brick wall, would you do it? And something like, I was like, yeah, like, good. And then like I flew out to San Fran. It was between me and Navarro Bowman. I don't know if you remember Navarro
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
Willis. Yeah, it was between me and him. They brought me out, and what's the name? Was their coach? Damn, I can't even remember his name now. But Mike Singletary.
Okay.
They flew me out there. This was after the combine, because you do your interviews, your in-person interviews, where they fly you out after the combine. So I flew out to San Fran, bro. Like, and it was the most awkward interview ever. Like, I got there, and I go into Mike Singletary's office, and he's just sitting, like, he got the room is dark, the lights are off. Like, it's like he got his computer monitor on,
For
with
real?
his lamp on, yeah, a little bit of light, and he got his dark shades on. And then he asked me a couple questions, and then after that, he just had me follow him, like, and we walked through the whole facility, passed by the practice field. We get to like the video department, and then he got like one of his guys out the room to just take a picture of us standing next to each other.
Yeah.
And his basically all he wanted to do was like see how tall I was. Yeah, and it was like it was so weird, bro. Like, I don't know if he wanted to prove to people that I wasn't that tall, or if he wanted to prove that I was tall.
Right.
He had him take the picture, and then he looked at the picture, because I guess he was trying to prove that he was known.
Trying to size you up.
Yeah, he was trying to size me up. Yeah, and I was like, bro, this is weird, because he was labeled an undersized linebacker.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Guess he was trying to say like, this dude ain't taller than me or something, because we took the picture and he was like, nah, that can't be right. And so he was like, let's take it again. And so I took it again, and like, yeah,
Nah,
I
man, that
was
definitely could be a weird experience, man.
super weird, bro. And so had experiences like that. And obviously didn't get drafted by them, man. But yeah, it was a crazy experience, man. Like, just being evaluated at all times. And as a competitor, you love it, but then you like, man, this is like a freaking meat market. Like,
Yeah.
this is yeah, it's different. You realize very quickly, like, this, once again, this is a business. It's no hard feelings. It's nothing personal, but like, their job's on the line.
Yeah.
They're about to make $1 million investment. Just like if you were investing $1 million in a car, you want to check everything under the hood.
Everything.
Know that it has no history of car wrecks.
Right.
So when I look back, it's like we're no different than high value cars or race horses, like which is crazy to think about, but that's what it is essentially.
So you did not get drafted by the 49ers, but you did get drafted in the third round,
Yeah,
97th overall by the Tennessee Titans. Man, what was that experience like, man? How did it feel? Was your family around, man? How did it feel getting that phone call?
man, it was crazy, bro. It was a blessing, and it's like that moment. It's like Christmas, it really really is. But the difference between Christmas and this is like, when you get to Christmas, it's like you get that gift. Usually, you're gonna get something.
Right.
And you kind of can expect what it's gonna be with the
Yeah.
NFL. You don't know where you're going. You don't know you don't know when it's gonna come. And so like, and then you see other people getting gifts, right? And who you, in some cases, you know you better than.
Right. Right.
Like, it's like, man, what? Like,
Maybe even a gift that you wanted.
yeah, get that you want it, and in some cases, it's a funny analogy, but that really is how it is, man. Like, and then one team, the Colts, for example,
Mm-hmm.
like I knew I wasn't gonna get drafted on day one. Day two comes, and like the Colts call me 2 hours, and I can tell it now because it's long,
Right.
long trying to get back in the league. But the Colts called me, they're like, "Oh, Rennie, we know you've been waiting for a while, and we got a pick in the second round, and we're gonna try to get you in that pick, man. So just hold tight."
Right.
But second day came, second round. It was like the 94th pick or something like that, bro. And the dude came up. He's like 94th pick, the second round. Indianapolis Colts select Pat Enger, Iowa. I was like, what the? Who the hell?
He capped on you, man.
Bruh, and they never called me back. They ain't say, man, hey, we had to make this. Nah, nothing.
Hey, I would have been making some phone calls. I would have been calling him like, hey man, I just talked to you yesterday,
And that was one of those like welcome to the NFL moments where I was
Right.
just, hey, cold world. And so after that, it was just like you see the name scroll, you just waiting, and that day, man, that was like the longest day of my life, and it just seems like it's never gonna come, like, cause you literally, I don't know if you've ever done this, but stared at a TV for 6 hours straight without like blinking. But that and like I said, it's like Christmas, but you don't know when that gift's coming. You don't know if you're gonna get anything at all.
Mm.
And my family's around, people blowing me up, like, man, you been drafted yet? You been drafted yet? And so that frustration is building because of the people who are reaching out, who don't know anything about the process or anything
Right.
about the work you put in. They just want to be in your business, or they just nosy. And then when it finally happens, man, like, it's like the craziest thing in the world. So you get, like, in that moment, I was sitting in my parents' living room, looked down at my phone after, like I said, 6, 7, 8 hours or something like that, man. The day was almost over. Like, it was the end of the third round. So I was ready to wrap it up. Looked at my phone, 615 number, picked it up, and it was Jeff Fisher. He was the first one on the call, who's the head coach. He was like, Rennie, I know you've been waiting for a long time, but welcome to the Tennessee Titans. And then he put me on the phone with the defense coordinator, and then he put me on the phone with the pro personnel and with the owner. And then, like, the whole time, man, it's just like you just flashbacks as you talking to him, flashing back to your childhood, flashing back to all the times I heard no, flashing back to all the times I, was third string, and was, all those moments just started coming back, all the people that helped me, man. And then, hang up the phone, or as soon as I get off the phone, man, and why, everybody's emotional, bro. So
Definitely.
mom crying, sister crying, everybody in tears, because
You just crying, man?
I was just in shock. I wasn't crying. Like, it was just like, it didn't even seem real.
Yeah.
After that, man, like, whatchamacallit, hang up the phone, and then looked up at the TV screen, and the dude, announced my name. And after that, as soon as my name popped up, bro, no lie, like, my phone, I looked at my phone, and it was just like, a million in like 3 minutes. Like, not even.
That's crazy.
At least 500 text messages came in at once.
It's like that moment when the new year come around, and as soon as they hit 12, your service go out.
Right.
In that situation, all these text messages start coming in. That's crazy.
My phone hit the jackpot. Like, that's how many texts came in at once. And it was just, man, I slept that night with my Titans hat on, and it was just the best feeling in the world, man. Just, overcoming all those things, man. Just knowing, like, man, you made it. Like, it's like Charlie. I tell people all the times, like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Like, you got that golden ticket, and yeah, bro. Like, we ain't about to struggle no more. Like, finally, man, finally got a break, bro. Like,
Man,
Yeah,
That's a great experience there, man. That's a lit story that you just told, man. Y'all just heard it from Rennie Curran right there. What his NFL draft experience was like, hearing his name called, with his family being around, his support system, and also with them text messages going off, y'all. So we're gonna transition here now to where you at now in life. You know what I'm saying, man? Your second career. A lot of people may not think, a lot of athletes may not think about that, while playing football and things of that nature there. But what has life after football been for you? You went and played in the CFL, right?
yeah.
But then again, you ended your career. How did that happen?
Yeah, man. So later on after Tennessee, after the second year, went on to play with Tampa, went up to Canada with the Edmonton Eskimos and BC Lions, tried to come back to NFL, man. Ended up spending all, so I went to, whatchamacallit, the Spring League. And
Uh,
before that, 2016, I was, basically just trying to finish up my degree from like 2012 all the way to like 2017. I would go play for a season, come back, and re-enroll at Georgia and knock out 2 classes at a time.
mm,
It was a grind, bro. Like it was no joke. And I was already working on my transition and working on
okay.
my career off the field. After that first time I got cut and I spent 6 to 8 months back home, that's when I started writing my first book, getting into public speaking and all those things. And I was in like into 2011, 2012. But by 2016, 2017, this is like my body started killing me. I'm 27, 28 years old. I'm starting to realize, man, like this thing, like it's getting real. Like
Yeah.
I got really, and so 2017 comes around. I ended up working, um, I had a couple workouts here and there, man, but ultimately, the Spring League came around, which is a new developmental league that they came out with that allows you to showcase yourself to NFL teams. So
Yeah.
I told myself, man, like, this is my last go at it. If it don't work out, like, this is it. I'm moving on.
Hanging the cleats up.
Yeah, I'm hanging it up. My body's beat up. I got to think now. I'm getting closer to 30. So I got to think about, man, what do I want my life to be like when I'm 50 years old? Is this going to be worth it? Is this money going to be worth it? Am I going to be able to enjoy this money? And then also I'm starting to become more of a full-time entrepreneur. So I'm starting to realize too, I don't really even need football. Like I'm
Right.
getting speaking engagements where I'm getting, 2,500 to $5,000 for an hour to speak. So I don't really got to go and kill myself like this no more. Like I can because I love it,
Right.
but do I really have to? No.
Yeah.
And so do that. I get out there, man. I'm in the best shape of my life. Get out to the Spring League, man. 3 days in, I'm going against Bente, who played at Auburn, played running back at Auburn. We're doing one-on-one drills. And my first rep up, like either his knee hit mine or or the way that I planted, just I don't know what happened to this day, but I ruptured and completely tore my patella tendon. And 2 days later, I drove back from we were at the Greenbrier in West Virginia, drove back to Athens, and that's where I found out I had completely torn it. And even then, I was like, God, if this is not a major injury, I'm still gonna come back. So you better make it like
Right.
real. You better let me know without a doubt. And sure enough, bro, like they told me that junk. And 2 days later, I got my surgery. It was like in April
Yeah.
of 2017. Got my surgery, man. I had that straight leg. Uh,
Mhm.
I knew like that was it. And 2 days later, 2 days after surgery, I was at a middle school speaking, crying my
So were
eyes.
you torn with that happened? Were you torn that? Of course, I'm pretty sure you didn't want to experience, tearing your knee. But like, what kind of toll did that play on you at that point in time? Like, were you just like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and transition, or?
Yeah, I had the piece in the closure, man, but it's still,
Mhm.
it's still frustrating because you just like coming from being a 3-time All-American and having an amazing career, playing with guys that I'm watching in the NFL who
Mhm.
are the top players in the league, and knowing that I was just playing with these dudes or playing against these guys and knowing that you could operate at that level, but because of whatever it is, politics, timing, whatever you want to call it, injuries, that you weren't able to really fulfill that potential. It was extremely tough, and at the same time, I had to realize, like, too, it was never going to be good enough. And
Right.
that's the tough thing about being an athlete, like especially an elite athlete. Like it doesn't matter how many years you play. It's just never enough. When it's time to hang up that jersey, you're going to have some type of regret. Like, none of us leave the game with closure. Unless your name is Ray Lewis or, you know what I'm saying? It look at Tom Brady. Why is Tom Brady still playing right now? Why is Drew Brees still playing right now?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you just – because it's not – at a certain point, it's not about the wins. It's not about the thing. It's just about, like, this is my DNA. This is what I do. And, you know, you never want it to end, and you never think as an athlete that day will come where your body won't be able to perform, man. So that was a tough thing, is like still having that mindset where I'm an elite linebacker, but then my mom got to tie my shoes because I can't even bend my leg. So that jump was a tough pill to swallow, to go from that to being handicapped and like having to, you know, you go to the grocery store and you got the little cart that you can ride around in. It was tough, bro.
That was you. That was you at a time.
That was tough. Yeah, that was me. That was definitely me. And going from that, man, to, like I said, being on the edge of being back in and that close, and like that jump just, you know. But because of my mindset, man, because I knew that this is what God had for me, and then I also looked at it like I'm thinking about 20 years down the line. I'm not just thinking about just these next 2-3 years. I'm thinking about the big picture, you know what I'm saying? And what if things, like now, especially when I look back, I'm like, what if things had worked out, right? What if I had gotten what I wanted? Would I even be in my right mind right now? Would I be, you know, would I be able to enjoy the rest of my life, especially playing linebackers? Like I got teammates. I have a teammate right now who's probably not going to be around in the next 5 years. You got CTE. We played together, but you can tell now because his body's deteriorated. Like, he has no control over his body whatsoever.
And that's serious.
It's serious, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I say like his body's deteriorated, he's probably like, I mean, when we played together, he was like 240. He's probably like, you know, 120 at that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A wheelchair, like got a feeding tube, like that could have been me. You know what I'm saying? So like when I look at it from that perspective, man, like I don't have any complaints. And I know like can't nobody tell me. And that was my big thing when I was done, is like knowing that I laid everything out there. Like I left everything on the field, and I could look myself in the mirror and I got no regrets. And
man, I believe you, man. And it's a blessing, man, to see you heal and recover from that injury. You know what I'm saying? To be able to walk away from the game with peace, like you said.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, man? You mentioned, and I know, hey, it's Friday, y'all. I know y'all probably want to get out there and have fun. Rennie, I appreciate you shedding light on your testimony and your backstory, man. Won't have you on here too much longer, man, but let me speak about some of your business endeavors, man. You mentioned that you wrote your first book, Free Agent. What inspired you to write that book, man? And where did you come up with that name, Free Agent?
Yeah, man, that's a great question, bro. So after I got cut my first time, I was back home for about 8 months, man. I was a free agent, and I was in a time of uncertainty, that no man's land kind of time in life where a lot of people are right now. And that's when I really just started to evaluate myself, man. I started looking at my skills. I started looking at what type of experiences I had, what value I could provide to the business world. I thought about other people who would be in that same situation. And that's when I started writing just about everything I was going through during that time. And it really started out as just a journal. It started out as a way to encourage myself, man, to not give up on my dreams. And as I thought about other people, I was like, man, maybe this can reach and help somebody else as they are going through their struggles. And so I started writing them, man. I was just like, man, if this reaches one person, if this can help one person, man, then I've done my job, that this time wasn't in vain. And so that's what the book really talks about, how to navigate those times of uncertainty, those times of adversity, those times where you don't even know who you are and you trying to like figure out life. And how do you build yourself during that time? And that's what really a free agent is, you know, when you look at being a free agent in life. So that's, you know, after you go through a divorce, after you lose that relationship, after you go through losing your business, like my dad, you lose your job, and you just in that place where you like, man, I don't know what's going on in my life. And, you know, you question your identity and your self-worth, like all those things, man. How do you build yourself? So that's what the book talks about and everything. And it's the best experiences of my life, man, because the minute I released that thing, I just saw the impact, man. Like it was dope, man. Like see people or hear from people who I would never meet. Like I still haven't met to this day, but they were impacted from
Right.
something that I did at a time where I could have easily given up. So yeah, it was, and it's still selling to this day. You know, it's people still buying it. I'm still getting messages.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's dope, man.
I think that everyone who goes through that free agency process, man, should definitely get the book. You know, it's free agent. You know, it's called that for a reason. So that's something I'm definitely gonna tap into and check out the book, man. But not only did you write one book, you wrote two books,
Yeah,
right? You wrote a book with your daughter,
yeah,
Ileana.
yeah, Eliana, yeah, Eli,
Cool, Ileana, man. So it's called "What Does It Take to Be a Star?" What
yeah.
inspired you two to come together and write that book, man? You spoke on fatherhood a little bit early on, but tell me about that.
Yeah, man. So when it came to that, bro, that I wrote that actually like after my injury, man, when I retired, and I was just really once again, looking for ways to continue to build my business, build my brand, and that idea hit me at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like I was, just sleeping, of course, woke up, and the whole story kind of hit me, and it's all about a young boy who goes on a journey to really figure out what makes him special in life. Just like most kids, you're trying to figure out how to be special, how to be a star. And so he goes through his community, visits everybody who he looks up to, and instead of them telling him something that relates to their title and relates to like, kind of that surface level of success, they tell him a character value. They tell him about something like that involves who he is as a person. And so that's ultimately the message of the book, is that to be a star is not about your title. It's not about, your status and whatnot. It's about who you are as a person and realizing your own self-worth. At the end of the book, you realize I already am a star, but
Right.
it's about those character values and whatnot that you develop that make you a star. So it's about, work ethic, perseverance. It's about being a servant. It's about, having a good attitude. And so those are the different lessons that each character teaches him. And I brought my daughter in, man, as I was like formulating my thoughts, because at this time, she's 7, 8 years old. She loved to draw. She was always leaving papers around the house. And so I was just like, man, come here. Like we were just like hanging out.
Yeah.
And I was like, come here. Let me ask you something. What would you think about doing a book with Daddy and traveling and speaking with him, and because I wanted her to have that entrepreneurial mindset too.
For sure.
Like, yeah, kid's gonna do whatever. So
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, and then she started giving me ideas and just different thoughts on putting the book together, and we did it together. She wrote a couple lines and helped me, when it came to gauging what would work, what wouldn't. And then yeah, we put the book together, man. We had an event. It was amazing, like a banquet style event, man. It was the most amazing experience of my life, man. And getting to do it with her made it even better.
No, and I second that, man. I definitely, shout out to Ileana, for writing your first book, at a very young age, along with your father. And I definitely look forward to getting my hands on both of those. That the second book that you wrote with Ileana, What Does It Take to Be a Star? I'm definitely looking forward to reading that with my son. You know what I'm saying? And looking for the impact, that will bring to him and the things that he will take from that book. So, I'll be getting those books very, very soon. Like I'm placing my order tonight, just to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
So
yeah, man.
look forward to seeing Rodney's name coming through on the order, man.
Yes, sir.
So man, we're gonna be wrapping it up here, man. You talked about a lot tonight, man. You really was very transparent with us tonight. You was able to speak about some of the challenges and adversity that you went through on and off the field, being able to uh, impact and motivate everybody who's tapping into this call right now, and throughout the call, throughout the night. You were able to definitely impact me tonight, man. I'm pretty sure amongst with a lot of other lives tonight as well.
Okay.
But so with that being said, man, um, everybody learning about your journey, your testimony, man. I want to ask you, man, what is your if factor?
My it factor,
Yes, sir.
man. I mean, my it factor is definitely resilience. Just the ability to have my back against the wall, the ability to be doubted, the ability to not be acknowledged, and still do it anyways, man. Still rise. I think that's something that we all have to have, man. That's a muscle, right? Resilience is a muscle, man. So you got to be able to get back out of your situation, man. No matter how tough it seems, even when you make mistakes, even when you have failures, even when you hurt people, like the ability to evaluate yourself, dust yourself off, man, pick yourself up and get back on it, man. Like you got to have that these days, because like it's gonna happen, right? It's gonna happen in different forms, in different ways. Where like life is gonna freaking give you that gut check.
Oh yeah.
And if you can't fight back, if you can't, you know, hit it back sometimes, like literally fight, then, you know what I'm saying, it's going to destroy you. It's going to chew you up and spit you out. So I would say that's my it factor, man, is resilience.
Hey man, I greatly appreciate that, man. What a beautiful if. Again, like I say, man, you've impacted many lives tonight, man, and even going forward from this day. Because this live will be posted as IGTV shortly after we end this call. But hey, one last question, man. I'm gonna let you go and enjoy your night, your Friday, your weekend, man.
Yeah.
If there was any other former or current pro athlete, man, that you believe to have a very inspiring testimony, man, that we can get here on this live, that you can help us get on the live, who would that be?
I think Brandon Boykin would be a good one. That's one of my homeboys I stay in contact with, and you know, he does a lot, and I could try to see if he wants to get on board.
Okay.
Malcolm Mitchell will be another one. Who else? Let's see. You'll be surprised, man. Some of those younger guys too, who are at Georgia right now, they'd be good to talk to as well, because they're
Okay.
still coming. They're you know, stories are still being formed. You know, guy like Richard LeCount, he just came out. He went through a lot. Jordan Davis, you know. So yeah.
So, man, I definitely look forward to speaking with those guys in the near future, man. So I'm gonna definitely reach out to them and try to get them here on the live, If Factor Friday live. Let me ask you. I had talked to Tavares King last week. Did you
Mm.
play with him as well?
Yeah, that's little bro, man. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Man. Well, that's great, man. So, again, Rennie Curran, man, I greatly appreciate you for tapping in with us tonight. Is there anything that you want to say, man?
Oh nah, man. Shout out to everybody who tuned in. I see my dude David Sykes just tuned on. So what's up, man?
Appreciate you, David.
But yeah, you know, I appreciate you having me on. Anybody that wants to get in touch with me can through you know, my website, renniecurran.com, and then of course on Instagram, on LinkedIn, any of those platforms. I'm always open to connect and to, you know, help anybody. So yeah, man, appreciate you, bro. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Most definitely, man. I will, man. I'm motivated, man, to continue to share these stories, man, by listening to these stories and being inspired. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care. Enjoy your night.
Yo, you too, bro.
For sure. Hey, everybody. We just wrapped up that live there with Rennie Curran. Great man, man. Great guy. You know, I definitely look forward to continue to support and follow his journey. I'm pretty sure it'll come to him to write more books and influence and inspire many other people that does follow him. For those who tapped in tonight, please go and show some support and love. If you have kids, go and grab his book written by him and his daughter. It is a children's book. For those who are out there going through the free agency process right now, go ahead and grab that book. And for those that just want to learn even more about him and read his book, just definitely go and support, you know, Rennie Curran, man. I greatly appreciate him tonight. And I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Hey, come back next week on In Factor Friday Live. We will have another special guest. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.